the problem now lives with you alone. We have to make this her problem, because if we make it her problem, then we can make it her solution.
Welcome to the Smart Gets Paid podcast with me, Leah Niederthal. I help women land higher paying clients in their independent consulting businesses, but I've never been a salesperson. My background is in corporate marketing, and when I started my first consulting business, I learned pretty quickly that it's about 1,000 times harder to sell your own stuff than it is to sell someone else's. So I taught myself how to do it, and I created the sales approach that I now share with my clients so they can feel more comfortable in the sales process, get more of the right clients, and get paid way more for every client contract. So whether your client contracts are $5,000, $100,000, or more, if you want to work with more of the clients you love, do more of the work you love, and get paid more than you ever thought you could, then you're in the right place. Let's do it together. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to rate, review, and share. Hey there. Thanks for joining me in this episode. I hope that wherever you are listening to this, I hope you're having a great week and making some good progress in your business and also taking some time for yourself. So it's been a really big week over here because my son, who's 3, started pre-K3, and my daughter, who's now 11 weeks, is sleeping in 6-hour stretches. You guys, this is huge. So, my wife and I are getting more sleep. We have our son in school, at least half days. And it feels like, especially with just having a newborn, it feels like we're coming through the fog a little bit, And it's funny, I remember when I was talking to a client of mine before my daughter was born, it was in the weeks right before she was set to arrive. And we were talking and my client was like, oh man, your life is about to turn into chaos. And I remember kind of chuckling and be like, yeah, And then, but in my mind, I was thinking yeah, maybe that happens to other people, but that's not going to happen for us. Our life isn't going to turn into chaos, right? Somehow, I don't know, we had it together more or we were special or something, right? But guess what? I am not special. And for, several weeks after she was born, we were in chaos. I mean, of course, first there's just a new baby in the house, right? Feeding every 3 hours, waking up all the time, just the addition of this new human in your life. And then, of course, also at that time, there's my son who had so many big feelings, really big feelings about her and about us. And he just turned into a total terror, could not be calmed down, could not be, it was awful. Seriously, there was a day that I cried 4 times that day. And I remember actually asking his pediatrician about it because I was like, this cannot be the same child who has been such an angel for almost 3 years at that time. That can't be right, right? And, he was revenge peeing and, all these things. Sorry to get too in the weeds, but this is, very much my life right now. And I was worried about it. And so I asked the pediatrician and he's like, okay, I know it's hard. Your tendency is to clamp down or try to, I don't know, be more strict or whatever because he's acting out so much. But he said, don't do anything for 3 months. I promise it will get better. And I remember thinking at the time, oh my God, 3 months, that feels like forever. I don't know how I'm going to make it, but we have made it because my daughter is just about 3 months and my son's behavior is getting back to normal and he's going to school. So he'll have, new people and new teachers and new experiences to help him grow and, give him just things to do and new people to listen to. And I am so excited for him. He's really excited. And so I'm really excited for him. And so for us, it's okay, we've gotten through this period. And now we're into what feels like the next phase for our family. It's really, really exciting. So if you've been, maybe in the run up to school for your family or any type of difficulty, I hope that you are either nearing the end or there's light at the end of the tunnel also for you. Okay, so let's get into the episode. I'm really, really excited for you to hear this one because this is something I hear in various forms from a lot of women I coach. So in this episode, I'm talking to a client of mine who's struggling with one of her clients that she's working with. She's already sold in the work, right? It's a series of workshops. And as you're going to hear, she's gotten some not great feedback about it. And of course, she wants to make it better, but she's having a hard time getting her main contact back on the phone to find out how she and her team can improve for the next time. But when we zoom out on what this episode's really about, it's not about feedback and it's not really about making the client happy, or it's not about getting people back on the phone. It's really this question that's more universal of, as the consultants, how do we get the client to do something that they won't do or that they don't want to do? That's what we're going to be talking about today. So the woman I'm talking to is second in command at her company. And between her and the founder, she's the one who's really responsible for business development. And their company offers a really unique set of leadership and communication workshops to companies that are mid-size all the way up to the Fortune 500. So I'm so excited for you to hear a little bit about the scenario and how we can reframe it to help my client move forward, and in turn, help her client get the best results. So I want to send a huge thank you to this client for allowing me to share this conversation with you. Take a listen, and at the end, I'll come back and share a lesson that you can apply to your business.
Well, it's always fun to talk to you. What's up? How have you been?
We've been really busy, which is like such a great problem to have.
Nice.
And I think I put in the notes for this call that I wanted to talk about, like sharing a client story on a call and how to weave that in. But I actually have kind of more of a pressing situation that we would love to get your input on it.
Yeah, let's do it.
The context is we have a 6-event engagement contract out with a client. And we've done one of them so far. They're scheduled for the entire year. So we have 5 more. And she sent an email after the first one that shared that essentially it didn't quite land is what she said. If we're going to move forward with the 5 additional sessions, we'll need to tighten up to connect this. Do you have any ideas? And so I responded to that, trying to get her on the phone so we could talk through our ideas. And she ended up kind of setting me up to talk to her employee. So he loved it and it was great talking to him, but he's not the decision maker. So then we sent her our thoughts after we had this call and here's how we're going to, work to fix this. And her response was, sharing, this is a brand new L&D program at this company. So this is something that we've done for the first time. I'm just going to read her last few sentences verbatim. I'm hesitant to move forward with these low scores and curious if scores are low again, less than 70%. Would you be willing to give us a discount on the June session? This is the most expensive program in our offerings. And given the current environment, we have a lot of pressure to make sure our money is being invested wisely. So when she says discount on the June event, that's the second session that we're going to do. So she's asking for an after the fact discount if it doesn't go as well as she wants it to. And I responded again, trying to get her on the phone saying we want to talk through this as soon as possible. And I just didn't address the discount question because I feel like that's something we can talk about in person. And we're not going to do that, but I'm just wondering if I would love to hear your thoughts on how to move forward with this situation. Did that make sense?
Yeah, no, it definitely makes sense. Wow. Okay. So so this is the first time they're doing something like this. Mm-hmm. Do you have any insight into, tell me about the process that you went through with them to prep.
Yeah. So we had a couple of sales calls and it was very clear based on the objectives that she shared that it's our workshop. And I explained the process to her and what the customization looks like. It's not I explained to her that it's not a matter of just working with her to come up with completely new content. It's just tweaking it so that it fits in with her team's needs, which based on what she shared, it's really easy to draw that connection. And there's a consult call that our facilitator has with the client beforehand, but she actually set that up with her employee again and our facilitator. So our facilitator didn't get to talk to her directly. And so I haven't been able to talk to her on the phone in months. It's just been communicating with her employee or email. So it's really hard to help her out. Like I want to understand exactly what she needs, but if she's not willing to have a phone call, then it's hard to make sure that what we're going to do fits in with what she needs.
Totally. And I already have some thoughts for you.
Okay.
Do you have any insight into how they rolled this out, or what communications happened inside the company before the workshop?
Yeah. So it's a completely new program that they launched. And here's the other thing. She's new. This is she started in January. So I connected with her right around the time that she started. So I get that this is like really high stakes for her, and it's a new learning and development is a new function there completely. They basically have their employees opt in for professional development credits to do these programs. So it's not a specific team that we're working with. It is whoever is interested in the topic, and they share a little overview of what the topic is. And then from there, we do the workshop. So I don't know exactly what their internal communications have been like, but we've offered to, write up we already have like communications that they can share that outline what we're going to do in the workshop. But if they share it or not, that's beyond my control.
Yeah. Well, and knowing that this is something that people have actually actively opted into,
right?
It's not like this is being forced upon them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I have so many thoughts. This woman is really bad at giving feedback, apparently. I didn't like it, or I've heard that people don't like it, or whatever. The scores show that people didn't like it, as does not give you anything to go on,
right?
And no way to make it better. Imagine if you ate a dish and you're like, I don't like it, send me another one. Right. But also what's really sort of crappy is she's like, I don't like it. Let's do it anyway. Can I have a discount?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And your answer is exactly what I was going to say, which is no, that's not how this works, for so many reasons. You don't get a retroactive discount if people don't like it. And if you don't like it, we're going to make it better.
Yeah.
And if we're not going to make it better, then, we shouldn't be working together.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what are you feeling right now? What's the help you need right now? Cause I could rant about this with you all day, but what's the help that what do you really need in this moment?
Yeah. Well, from the mindset perspective, just to give you context, when I've gotten these emails, this has all happened in the past week or so, my initial response is just I don't it's probably a poor attitude, but I really am frustrated by it, that I kind of just wish she would just cancel it now if she's going to be so, yeah, like you said, not give enough feedback for us to fix it, kind of setting us up to fail again. And the thing is, with the contract we have, as long as the next event is over 30 days away, they can cancel at any time without an issue. And if they gave us enough warning, that would be okay. So she could do that after the second one. And so it's weird that I was really offended that she asked for that retroactive discount, and it really put a sour taste in my mouth. So I'm trying to reframe it and just focus on the immediate next workshop and figure out how to get a hold of her. And if I can't get a hold of her on the phone, how to make sure that we ask the right questions so that we can do the next workshop to the best of our abilities. And I'm just thinking about this one in June. I'm not thinking beyond that for the next 4.
Right. Well, I guess another question I have is, have you had a chance to see the scores, or they were just reported to you?
She just gave us a few numbers.
And is this an assessment or a survey that you guys write, or they write?
This is from their survey. We have one. We didn't get a lot of responses, and she's asked, since they have one internally, if we could remove it for the next one, which we totally can, but we asked to actually see what their scores say. Right.
And I'm wondering if it was just quantitative feedback or qualitative as well.
Right.
So, okay, this sucks. And well, I think, and I think the worst part about this is all you're doing is getting really terrible communication, right? Mm-hmm. So, of course, the natural thing is to like spiral out and be like, what can we even do here? How can we make this right? We've done something wrong. This is difficult. This is not how you want to work. Right.
And I did, don't worry. I did spiral.
Oh, of course. I know you. I mean, and I know what I would do too. Like you just spiral out. And I'm just remembering that you told me that they didn't even give you access to, either her or the team to even get the input to make this great, right? To make the workshops great. So this is not, I kind of agree that you weren't set up to succeed. Mm-hmm. So here's just a way to maybe think about this. So right now, she's giving you negative feedback with no context, right? And no way to make it better. And she's, she won't get on the phone with you or whatever. And you're over here on your side being like, we have this workshop coming up. We're coming up on the deadline. We want to make this great. How can we make this better? And like right now, all the pain lives with you, right? Like to make it better or to solve the problem or whatever. Right.
Right.
And of course, like you're going to do your best. You're going to like try everything. You've asked her twice to jump on the phone, right? Mm-hmm. What we need to do is to shift some of the pain to her. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying like, of course, no physical pain, right? But like we have to sort of, the problem now lives with you alone. Mm-hmm. We have to make this her problem, because if we make it her problem, then we can make it her solution. Right. It's the difference between saying like, we're over here trying to make this so much better. Please help us. Versus saying, this is not the way we operate. Certain things weren't in place before. We're not, in that you didn't get a chance to get any input to customize this workshop. We have no way to make this a more effective program for you because we don't have access to you. And the person that we talk to actually give us great feedback.
Yeah.
In the absence of a live conversation to get your feedback and see the scores and talk to participants who weren't happy so that we can make it better, we are unable to move forward. We are still within the window of our cancellation contract. I mean, if they're not in the window, you could say we're happy to extend the window. Because our commitment as a company is to make this, to make every engagement an incredible experience. And we're not able to get the tools from your side to do that. So perhaps it may be the best to cancel the remainder of the sessions, right? Because here's what this does. If what you're saying is true about her and, what she needs to accomplish in this short time or whatever, remember how we talked about BATNA, right? Best alternative to negotiated agreement, right? Like it may be the case that she needs to make a splash quickly. She needs to establish herself. She needs to succeed at something, right? And if this program fails, then the best alternative to you guys finding some type of agreement here is that this program is not a success in her company, right? Or the first thing, or maybe an early thing that she did isn't a success. And of course, she'll never be like, oh, this is all my fault, right? She'll probably blame it on you guys.
Right.
But it doesn't change the fact that like, it does not set her up for success in what she needs.
Right.
Right. So we're not trying to like make her look bad. Right. What we're trying to do is actually make her look good. And you need information to do that. Does that make sense?
It makes complete sense.
So I think that's the mindset shift here, because I know how much you want to make this work, right? I know how much you want to make this a success. You guys always get amazing feedback from the work you do. And of course you over deliver, right? But you cannot force people to help themselves.
Yeah.
What you can do is take it from being all your problem to make it a little bit her problem too.
Okay.
How does that land with you?
No, I mean, I really liked what you said, because I'm in this place where I don't really know, like I truly didn't know what what to do next. Cause you're right. Like if I can't get a hold of her, it's not going to go well. It's going to be the exact same feedback as we got before. And I'm wondering with what you said, is that something that I should, like, I have her phone number. It's just, that seems like kind of an out of the blue thing to call about and have that discussion. But should I try and give her a call that's not scheduled, or should I continue with the written communication as the next step forward? That's like more logistical question, but I'm just curious what you think.
Yeah. Have you spoken to her on the phone before? I mean, you must have, right? Because you've had these Teams calls.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, listen, it couldn't hurt to pick up the phone and try to have the first conversation with her, right? Which is, we'd love to get feedback. You know, you wouldn't like come out of the gate on the phone with this.
Right.
That we just sketched out here. Like you'd want to have the real conversation or schedule a real conversation, right? While you have her live. And I think also just one quick note on that, like you need just more than her or more than one employee in that conversation. Right.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, schedule that conversation with the people who should be involved as you direct, right? Because again, you're the ones trying to make this an incredible experience for her and for her people. Right. And then if she doesn't pick up, you try once more. She doesn't pick up. Or if she picks up and is still unwilling to have the conversation with you, then, you have it's not even like an escalation path. It's like you have a path that's right for you to make this project successful.
Right. Yeah. Okay. That's really helpful because I've been keeping track of the pipeline and it looks so much better than it did before. And we're doing so well that I'm trying to have like this attitude, like I want this to go well, but I just don't think this is like how we should be treated. So if it doesn't work out, like we'll be fine. So I'm figuring out how to not sound like I'm apathetic to the situation, but it is just, I'm not enjoying how we're communicating with her. So I'm figuring out like how to not bring that into my conversations with her too.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. I mean, I think that shifting it from, you don't want to like go off of ego, right? And of course that's super hard because we all have an ego, right? And we want to do a good job. So, shifting it from we shouldn't be treated this way to I can't make you successful is really the shift here.
I love that. Okay.
And the fact that you have a full pipeline and you guys are doing great, if you can afford to let this one go, then it's really her decision whether she wants this to succeed in the company or not.
Yeah. I mean, of course I don't want to lose business, but yeah, I think like we'll be fine if this ends up ending after one more session or even right now.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. What do you like about this? What feels good about it?
I mean, I love what you said about shifting some of the pain to her, because I do think it's so easy to carry it like one-sided as the vendor. But you're right. If we're doing all that we can think to do to get in touch with her to make it right, that some of the onus is absolutely on her to take some steps. And I think that shift is, I hadn't been thinking about it that way. I've just been thinking about like, how can I get in touch with her? But I think I could be stronger in my communication and saying like, we really need to figure this out or figure out what the next step is, because we want to make sure that this is a success and we don't have the tools to do that right now.
Yeah. And I think continuing to really, everything you write, put it, write it down, but then put it through the lens of, or the filter of how am I putting it in terms that benefit her? Right. In order to make this a success for you, we need these things. It has to be positioned for her benefit because it is for her benefit.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah.
All right. So what's your next move?
I'm such a visual person. I think I was typing some notes on what you were saying, and I know this is recorded, but I think I'm just going to type out my thoughts. And then I think I just want to give her a call and see if I reach her. And if I do, then see if we can schedule a conversation and see if we can get anyone from the workshop in there. So I think just getting a call with her so that I can get a call with her is the next step.
Yeah, totally. And listen, if you do get to the point where you're drafting this email, you can come into the Academy Slack and post it in the feedback forum. And if you want feedback for it, we'll put some eyes on it and let you know if there's changes or if it's good to go.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for the reminder. Yeah. Thank you, Leah. This is really helpful.
Yeah, of course. I'm so glad.
All right. So I want to send a huge thank you again to my client for allowing me to share this with you. So when you take a step back from this call, outside of like the particulars, the things about her unique situation, this really is a universal issue that most women will face in their business at some point, which is, how do I get my client to do something that they don't want to do or won't do or are delaying doing? And actually, the most common example I hear is that my client's late in paying me for work I've already done, right? And we still have work to do to finish this project, and they still won't pay me. We actually just saw that in one of our weekly coaching calls in the academy. One of my students was working with a client and they were kind of nearing the end of their scope and she wanted to get paid, right? As you do. But the payment was dependent on finishing a deliverable and the client wouldn't get back to her with feedback on the deliverable, which meant that the deliverable was like never finished and my student couldn't get paid. And it's really this variation on a theme, right? How do you get somebody to do something they don't want to do? And it's so frustrating, right? For all the reasons that you heard me talk about with my client. Because you want to do a good job. You want to work in your integrity. You want to solve the problems that your clients hired you to do. And, of course, you want to get paid for the value that you're bringing to your clients. And you just can't, sadly, reach through the Zoom or reach through the computer and just like make the client do what you want. And it feels like you just have no power at all, right? And the reason it feels like you have no power is because you're the only one who feels the pain. And so you're the only one for whom this is a problem. But the truth is, and what I hope you got from this episode is you do have more power. And the way that you reclaim your power is by making this issue, which is only a problem for you, and also making it your client's problem. Because listen, clients are going to client, right? And clients probably are not as concerned as you are about your need to do a good job or even your need to get paid, but they will be concerned about how it might affect them. So we just need to bring them back into the working relationship where one of you is not working for the other, where you're working together, right? It's just a way of resetting the relationship. So what I want you to take away from this episode is take this issue from being only your problem and make it the client's problem also. And just as a side note, the woman in the academy who I was just mentioning, whose client wouldn't get back to her with feedback on that deliverable, so she couldn't deliver the final piece and then get paid. In our coaching call that week, we talked through how to make it the client's problem. And I recommended that she withhold the final deliverable until she received payment. And in the course of our conversation, that felt weird. It's actually really hard sometimes to say no to a client, especially when you've said yes the whole time and you really are in this position where you kind of have to put your foot down. But she did it, and a few days later, she posted this update in the Academy Slack. She said, "Update on my troubling client situation from last week." And in parentheses, she added, "She was dodging a date for deliverable feedback and I worried I wouldn't get paid. Client replied at 6 p.m. on deadline for feedback with gratitude for the report and asked for my invoice. She paid in full and I've given her the final work. So relieved to close this one out." So here's the thing. I know it feels hard and, dare I say bitchy, right? To assert yourself in this way. But all we're doing is resetting the dynamic, bringing the client back into the working relationship with you, and teaching clients how to think about you and how to treat you. Because your job is to teach your client through your actions that you're not working for them, you're working with them. And there needs to be a mutual respect and understanding. It'll make you a better partner to your clients, and you deserve it.